Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement. Your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement, your live and local St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Erin Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services, financial planner and wealth manager, and I'm joined this week. He's back from the tournament. Third place is that like if you're racing horses? That's like you showed in the it was a show.
I did show up, honey. You're right.
Jeff Lapidus, my dad, retirement coach and financial planner, and my husband Robert Markham, our life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist.
Good morning.
Good morning, babe.
Good morning. We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan, a written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan with several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate.
Second is to provide an income stream they can rely on so they can do all the things they want to do in retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, without Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Erin, Rob, and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches. Gang, again, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to everybody in Radio Land. Thanks so much for taking your time and tuning in with us today. We have a lot of fun things to talk about on the show. What's more important is what's on your mind. Give us a call, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. And it's a piece of, housekeeping as we have to do every single week. We want to tell you about how you can keep in touch with us outside the show.
That's right. Log onto our website, jblfinancial.com. You can click on the Contact Us button, request a coaching session, financial, Medicare, or both. Or you can ask us a question through the portal if you'd like as well. Or you can sign up for our monthly newsletter. We call it the Coach's Corner. And it is the first Saturday of a brand new month. So that means we have a new newsletter.
We do. We got some great articles in the August 2025 hot off the presses newsletter for your perusal. The first one being Saving Social Security, which solutions do Americans support. Our second one, Avoiding Probate with TOD deeds and accounts. It's never been easier to pass on assets to your beneficiaries. The second article will walk you through some of the ways to avoid probate using TOD and POD designations. Our third article, Navigating Financial Conversations with Aging Parents. Talking about money can be difficult. Talking about finances with your aging parents, even more so. It can be, and this is a great article because
Quit staring at me here.
I knew this was going to happen when I chose that article. I was like, "Yep, this will go over well."
Not age.
I don't resemble that remark. Thank you.
And our last article, Staycations are about more than saving money. You don't always have to get away to come back refreshed. And this article is it gives you some great ideas about if you're going to keep it local during a vacation time, some tips and tricks you might find useful. But
is the financial conversations with aging parents about their money or your money or other people's money?
Or you wanting their money?
Right.
Could be all of the above.
I guess
it should be all of the above. Right.
I'll save my litany of jokes for that one. That's probably not our highlight this week, I guess.
No, the highlight of this week
You have to concentrate hard on those, honey?
No, I'm going to make a list.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to miss any.
Good thinking.
I thought the one we would highlight this morning is saving Social Security. Which solutions do Americans support? This is the time of year where we are inundated with, I call it scare journalism.
Ah, yes.
Where they tell you that Social Security is going broke and there's not going to be enough money and you're going to eat dog food. And, you see this with Medicare as well. I mean, they're going to cut Medicare. You're going to be affected. You're not going to be able to afford health care. And these things just are not true. And, the fixes here are relatively straightforward. And that's why I love the simplicity of the article and the fact that it's on the cover sheet is there's two ways to fix this problem. It's a funding issue.
Right.
You can either cut funding or you can raise revenue. Mm-hmm. It's relatively straightforward. And it's with just some small adjustments, we can find the funding. The article says that it's only fully funded to 2033. If we were just to remove the payroll caps for employees, right now I think it's at...
Oh, so if you make over, it's like 185,000. Is that the number?
I thought it was 175, but it's something
in that area. That means after you've earned that 75 to 85, you no longer have the Social Security withholdings. Correct.
Correct. And on the
so if we eliminate that, that means everything above that would then be continued.
You're still stuck with the Medicare withholding.
Right. Always pay Medicare withholdings, but they remove the Social Security part.
Or you could adjust the cost of living adjustments. You could scale some of that back.
And that's something that's determined annually, right?
Right.
Or you could elect people that actually don't care about getting reelected, and therefore they would do things that would be prudent instead of...
Well, that's a topic for a different type of show.
Well, it's true. I mean, the bottom line is that you aren't going to have a politician that's going to be able to keep their job if they say, well, we're going to cut back benefits. That's just never going to happen. So it's much easier to take money from people.
Well, isn't that the entire purpose of Social Security, is you are taking money from the workers to give to people who had already worked?
Well, it is, but let's be real. The benefit amounts, especially for folks that are earning higher amounts currently,
they're not going to make up a significant the same proportion of your retirement income.
Yes, that's correct. For most folks, it runs between 30 and 45%. For folks that are earning, let's say, over $150,000 a year, you're really looking at 25 to 20%, and sometimes even less amounts. So, is that fair? The answer is no. Is it the way our country is? The answer is yes. So,
well, fair doesn't always have to mean equal, I've heard.
Fair is what you pay to ride the bus.
That's another great family favorite.
I don't disagree with you, but, Robert, I think this is a very good infographic, and at the same time, when we talk about reality setting it, it's easier for them to raise the caps on the income side than anything else. I mean, it's just easier to do that. I mean, if they just said today, well, we're going to go to $500,000, we're going to go to $1 million. Most people aren't affected, but the ones that are, it's called
suck it up.
Well, this article doesn't point it out, but you mentioned
Titanic song.
Oh God. Well, you mentioned when we were chatting about this article that not only do we see this article on a recurring basis,
it's like every 6 months,
but we've had times throughout history, many of our listeners were alive for these times, where they made adjustments to control the funding of Social Security.
They either adjusted the retirement date.
Right, so we started seeing a gradual progression upward, which we are still seeing.
Or they played with the caps that we were just discussing, the income limitations. Mm-hmm. So they attacked it from a benefit standpoint. They attacked it from a funding standpoint, and they've done it periodically. They did it in the 80s.
I would use the word adjustments.
Attack.
It isn't really an attack because, first of all, everyone is going to continue to receive benefits forever, and the reason they are is because there are
taxpayers.
Right, there are taxpayers that are funding this thing. That's how it's an ongoing thing. It's in and out type of thing. So there will adjustments that will be made. And frankly, the age is also another easy one. I mean, look what they've done with required minimum distributions. They keep pushing the age back, which is kind of cool, which means that they could also then push back the Social Security full retirement benefit.
Well, this one also, go ahead. I'm
So
sorry.
I was just going to say the great thing about these solutions is it doesn't have to be an all or nothing approach. You can do some combination of all of these approaches and close the funding gap.
Right, so it doesn't have to be a huge hit like taking the full retirement age from 67 to 69.
Right, it could go from 67 to 67 and a half.
Right.
And then you could play with the funding portion of it underneath, seeing which numbers you want to adjust. But my only point here is that you're not locked into an all-in-one solution. There are plenty of ways to get to the same place, and that it's just a matter of it's a benefit. It's a math problem essentially, and we're solving for X.
So
Titanic song, sorry.
nothing to be overly and this is a great time for this article because we just passed the new tax legislation, so of course that's a time to re-adjudicate some of these things. But to your point, this comes up on a pretty regular basis, so it's not something to be particularly worried about because, as the article mentions, lawmakers have the ability to make adjustments here. We don't have to watch it go off the cliff.
We have roughly 8 years before 2033. That's almost a decade. And it's essentially a math problem. And there's more than enough revenue going to D.C., so it's just a matter of siloing some of that much-needed revenue to the places it needs to go.
Something like a Social Security lockbox?
A place where it goes where they can't get at it. Well, I mean, in my way of thinking, the only way a politician can't get at something is if it's in an account with your name on it. Like, no one can go into...
Oh, no, you are now veering far into...
Well, yes, that's the model. I thought I wasn't a big fan
Textures get him.
I wasn't a big fan of George W. Bush, but one thing he did say that I did agree with, that I thought that a system that went to like a 401k model that begun to, silo younger workers into that kind of construct away from, a government-controlled pension system, I thought would have been ideal, and it would have been better for the books of the country to get that off the books, but we went a different way.
It's interesting that the conversations that change over time, because in the 90s and early 2000s, that's all we talked about. That's one of the main conversations was Social Security, potential privatization. And I don't think I've heard that conversation from a politician in what could be considered decades at this point.
It's been a generation since the topic has even come up. And, you can't drag people away from their 401ks and their IRAs now. So, I mean, it's not that people don't participate. It's not that they don't see the benefit of them. But moving that program from a Social Security construct to something a little bit more privatized, I thought was a great idea. I still think it is.
Well, if you'd like to take a look at this article or all of our other articles and some of our past newsletters, just log on to our website, jblfinancial.com. You can either click on the sign up button to sign up for the newsletter so it can be delivered to your inbox every single month, or if you just peruse the website, you'll be able to see past newsletters that Rob keeps updated for you to take a look at. And with all of that, we've got a few texts already on the line if we want to head to that next.
Absolutely. Let's go.
And our first texter writes, will you guys be talking about the dropping of PPO plans with one of the big Advantage plans providers today?
Well, we are not. We are going to hold off on that particular conversation. The only reason is because that's an announcement that won't have an impact until after January 1st. And as we have seen in the past, these negotiations usually resolve themselves. Part of the reason that it's been brought out into the public is because they reached a standstill and they would like to break that standstill. So a little public pressure is always helpful. The good news here is that we're actually going to be having a conversation today with Frank. We were a duo last week, and now we've got the whole gang here this week. But Frank's coming in for our Medicare segment, and he's going to be talking about ways that you might be able to make a change if you live in Missouri before your annual enrollment period begins.
Absolutely. And our next texter writes, when entering an independent living facility, is it best to put down a refundable large amount of money or a smaller amount of non-refundable money with somewhat larger monthly fees?
We've assisted our clients in making those decisions, and I would suggest that it really comes back to your cash flow. I think that if you can afford a slightly larger payment, which, as you know, is not going to be fixed, it's going to continue to grow every single year. Mm-hmm. You really have to look at your cash flow and determine whether your income plan is built to weather that storm. Otherwise, you buy it down significantly to start, and then because you're on the escalator. That's just the one thing. I mean, you might get a 2-year guarantee on the front end or something, but after that, it's going up.
I think also this becomes a very personalized decision because for many people, maybe they have the cash flow to meet the monthly payments, but much of their money is tied up in IRA accounts. So does it make sense to pull a large amount out of an IRA account in 1 year to meet that larger refundable down payment versus taking the ongoing expense? Or there's also other benefits in some ways. For example, some of the facilities offer, if you have a larger down payment, that goes towards if you need to transition from independent living to assisted living or memory care. So there are some other benefits therein. I think this is a little bit difficult of an answer to be generalized because there are so many options now, which I think is another benefit to the proliferation of these independent living facilities and some of the ones that have transitional care as well, is that you have a lot of options. It's not just based on if you like the place or like the food. It can also be based on...
Nobody likes the food.
I didn't think it was that bad.
If you're living there, nobody likes
it. Because
they all
we
complain.
have a few clients that invite us to lunch, and I have to say,
we get the suck up lunches.
Well, then they're duping me because I was down to be like, "How old do you have to be?"
Right, like they do this every day.
Well,
you don't have dishes.
The apartments are generally pretty nice. I mean,
yeah,
they're clean. They're under 1,000
spacious.
square feet. Spacious.
I thought.
I mean, the only other thing I would certainly say that you really need to consider here is the health of the person.
Right.
You can be chronically ill but still be in a situation where you're not in assisted living. And
right.
So the question would be, how much is the transition? And frankly, then, do you get any, what is the break if you do have to move up to another level of care? Because usually, I mean, I think on average, I've seen that those usually go up about $2,000 a month.
I just heard
from independent to assisted living. So that would be, would there be a discount by paying more down? And so again, it's a math problem. There aren't any bad decisions here.
Right.
I think I think finding the comfort level, not just only for you as the relative child, whatever, of the person that's living there, as well as the person that's living there, is important.
Yeah. One of our clients unfortunately had a fall a couple weeks ago, and they are going from living in their own home into an assisted living facility, at least for the short term, and it's down in Columbia, so the prices
They call that rehab.
Well, no, she's going from rehab into an assisted living facility. Okay. The goal is for her to come out, but in a lot of cases that doesn't happen, but that's the goal. It's going to be about $9,000 a month, but that's for additional care because she's unfortunately going to need it. So
physical therapy and occupational therapy.
Yeah, and also just someone there to be of assistance. So lots of things to consider. It's a great question, and it's something that people often tackle. We work with not only our current clients with their parents, but some of our older clients making these decisions, helping them to run the numbers. So kind of like we said, this becomes a very personalized decision, but it does make sense to look at a few options, run the numbers a few different ways.
And then get a second opinion.
Exactly.
Let somebody else look on the inside for you, because when you get close to these situations, you can basically get a little tunnel vision.
Yes, it's solve the problem as quickly as possible.
Right.
And maybe there are some other
Good
options.
question. We appreciate them reaching out to us.
And our next texter writes, "Hey, I was looking forward to celebrating this week that my portfolio got back to where it was in April before all the tariff discussions and so forth.
Woo-hoo.
But yesterday kind of put me back on the sidelines for a while."
No.
These last couple weeks have been terrific run up.
Yeah.
Look, anytime the markets go down, it's a little disappointing because we know
Certainly.
that the companies we're investing in aren't getting any. The quality of products aren't getting worse. The people who work there aren't getting dumber. But again,
Certainly.
it's based on expectations of future earnings, and so since you most likely have recovered if you stayed invested,
Depending upon your
your mix, etc., you would have recovered most, if not all, of where we were in April, and be ahead
moving
at this
forward,
point, etc. Keep the faith. We are.
Well, I mean, this is a great example of what's a turbulent week, but it doesn't necessarily determine the direction of the market week, which is that we're really in the thick of our earnings reportings from companies, and they've been not only reporting well, we've seen companies report good earnings, beating and raising in the future. So we're seeing strong earnings, but then, we have some political issues going on. That doesn't necessarily determine the direction of the market. If you invest on a day-to-day basis, you probably would never really stay invested for very long. So the ultimate goal here is that it's your time in the market, not trying to attempt to time the market or look at on a day-to-day. Why don't we look at it a year-to-date? Or even if you went back, I think these numbers sometimes I call it juking the stats a little bit, but instead of looking at year-to-date, which is January forward, why don't you look at a one-year return, go back to August of last year, take a look at how your portfolio's performed. We've seen more than one...
Two dipsies.
I was going to say, we've seen more than one pullback in that time, and, based on your allocation, I would suspect that you stayed invested that full time, you probably see some stability, even positive returns from that. So I wouldn't take a one day. It's always, like you said, disappointing on a Friday to see a red day.
Well, they all can't be green days, and if we look just since the beginning of the year, there was a little bit of a DeepSeek sell-off in the beginning of the year,
a little tech AI,
and then
bubble.
no sooner did we come through that maelstrom, and then we were right onto the tariff discussion, and here we are, 16 weeks later. I mean, that's roughly 4 months.
Market all-time highs. Well, it was at all-time highs.
Right, prior to what went on Friday, and we're sitting at I think it was S&P 6,300. And if I had told you that was going to be the case a short time from the
if
tariff,
we go back to the beginning of April,
if right in the maelstrom of that volatility, I said, don't worry, because in 16 weeks we're going to be at all-time highs, people might have looked at you like you had three heads, but that's ultimately where we where we ended up, and no one knows what's coming tomorrow, but I mean this is why we stay invested for long periods of time. There's going to be events, there's going to be volatility, but volatility is the price we pay for the
opportunity for returns
to capture some gains. So,
and like we've talked about, and we spent a lot of time talking about in April, not making adjustments to your portfolio doesn't necessarily mean not doing anything. We can make adjustments, and you, if you're managing your portfolio, can make adjustments in the sense of where am I taking distributions from, when am I taking them. For many clients, when we were in the middle of April, we had conviction not to make changes to our allocation, but for some clients that were taking distributions, we said, why don't we start pulling from places that aren't subject to market volatility until we can see where this ends up. So we can make adjustments to the game plan without making adjustments to the portfolio. And if things have you nervous or jittery, then I think that's always a good first step. What's my game plan for the next 6 months? Not necessarily touching what you've created for the long term, but how do I deal with some short-term volatility? There are some alternatives, I think.
And there were a lot of voices, when we were in the middle of that volatility, that the sky is falling. You need to do X, you need to do Y, you need to take direct action now. And it should be at least noted that the worst fears of what this would lead to did not happen. Right. It did not. So it just needs to be said that certain people maybe got it wrong or maybe weren't fully right. No,
right.
I mean, but when you're in the commentary game and you're making comments on a day-to-day basis, it's easy to get a lot of things wrong, and that's okay. We all get things wrong, but we have to acknowledge sometimes, like, hey, didn't see that one coming. And here we are 16 weeks later, and we're at all-time highs, just about.
Well, I think the point here is has been very well made, is that the negative Nancys, if you want, that's a nice word, but the bears are always right.
At some point.
Yeah, the market always is going to go down. But historically, it has always recovered to new highs. And the question that I ask myself, and certainly one that I ask clients when we're in visits, especially those that are a little bit,
nervous
for whatever reason. Actually, it's for whatever time. It isn't really a reason. It's just a time.
Mm-hmm.
Is, do you believe the market is at its all-time highs? Have we seen it? The answer is yes, then guess what? You shouldn't be in.
Right.
I mean, because then you're just going to be invested on the way down. If you don't believe that, then it's easy to weather the storm as long as you've got a game plan for having the cash that you need, either large amounts or monthly income over a period of time. You can do things that don't require you to make colossal changes. The other thing I think you point out very well here, honey, is rebalancing. You can physically rebalance your portfolio, or it can be rebalanced by itself through the markets. And, we believe that mechanical rebalancing at specific times during the year makes sense, because then you're able to capture gains, feed the losers, get your portfolio back into the place it should be. Unfortunately, in April, the market helped us get back that way.
We didn't have to do our April rebalance.
Well, guess what? Now, if you think, you go back, you go, hey, if we're back to where we were, maybe it's time to really look at rebalancing, capturing some of those gains, because if you don't capture them, they're not real.
That's right.
Maybe it's not as bad as it ever seems when you're in the middle of it, nor is it as good as it ever seems when you're on the other side of it.
Wise words.
Absolutely. We should take our first break.
Let's do it.
So don't touch that dial. We'll be back with more Straight Talk on Retirement right after these brief messages.
Quiet down. Here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Ever wonder what the KTRS Air personalities look like? Well, now you can. Now streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. Sitting at home or at the office, you can now watch the Big 550 live. Just find the Big 550 KTRS on Facebook or 550 KTRS TV on YouTube. 2 ways you can see the hosts in all their on-air glory. We are live, local, and the talk of St. Louis. We are the Big 550 KTRS. Depend on it.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Welcome back to the show. It's 9:33:52 here on the Big 550 KTRS. Talk Radio St. Louis. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach.
And I'm Robert Markham, your life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist.
And we are willing, waiting, and wanting to answer your questions at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the, it was really heating up a little while ago.
A nice variety, too.
Text line. We do appreciate that.
And as we've beaten down the text line into momentary compliance, maybe we should get on to our first subject. And I was lucky enough to sit in on a coaching session with Jeff this week with Joe, who's 58. He works for a technology company. He'd like to retire in 5 or 6 years. He's divorced. He has 2 grown children from his first marriage. Sally is his 56-year-old girlfriend. She is selling her home in Illinois to move in with him. She's also divorced with 2 children. She's also an empty nester. they plan to get married soon.
Oh, already got a lot going on here.
All I could think was,
it's like Brady Bunch.
This is going to be fun. Well, it is fun. I mean,
we got his money, we got her money, sold house, all kinds of
moving
stuff.
in together.
Right.
Exactly.
The third act is about to begin.
It's fun for us because the investing side is how we get paid. We charge 0.25% per quarter, but helping our clients reach their goals, creating a game plan for them to make this happen, is really, I think, the most fun of our job. And with Joe,
he had some issues to tackle.
Right. His first real question was, when we started this, was, do you think I can retire in 5 to 6 years? We're going to put that aside. We can go through the math. He was okay. He wasn't going to have a problem. He was obviously very pleased about that. And certainly he then also wanted to know, can Sally follow me at some point in time in the future as well? And I said, once I look at her financial information, I'll be happy to answer that. But from what you've told me, and he gave me some information about what her current income was and understanding Social Security, it's like, yeah, she'll probably be okay.
That's not the real meat of this conversation, though?
No, not at all. But the other part of the conversation was, you're moving in together. You're going to get married.
Are they?
Yeah, he said he has an intent to get married. I don't know if she knows, but I know. So, and now our listeners know. So, how are you going to deal with expenses? Are you going to be a 2-bucket family, or are you going to be a 1-bucket family?
Well, my first question is, what happens to the proceeds of Sally's house?
I was thinking that.
And then also,
we'll get to that, kiddies. There are some options that are there. So,
like, alarm bells are going off as Rob was describing what was going on in this meeting.
And what was my question to him, which was, okay, she's going to move in, and is she going to buy part of the house from you?
Or is she going to make some of the payments?
Is she going to take care of what? Right. How's this going to work?
Right.
And so we had some discussion about that. But the big deal was the estate planning side.
Okay.
And for most folks that are in second marriage situations, you get into a real question about, is mine mine? Or are we going to Brady Bunch?
Or is mine ours now?
Yeah, or is it going into ours? And we certainly have seen this both ways. And naturally, that led me to a bunch of questions with Joe to try to figure out what he was thinking. Obviously, Sally wasn't in the room at that particular moment, but we certainly will get her thoughts as well. Hopefully, he's with her a little bit.
How come Joe came to the meeting without Sally?
Well, because, again, Sally was, she wasn't really close by.
Got ya.
She was.
Because she's in Staunton.
Exactly. She wasn't close by, and her schedule didn't permit this. But
okay.
So my questions to Joe, and I had a couple of them. The first one was, is it your goal to have a continuing income to your wife, soon-to-be wife, if you predecease her?
What was his answer?
Yes. Not unusual.
So, once an income, what about the house?
We'll get there, baby.
Okay. I'm really concerned.
About the
house. We've got proceeds from the sale of the house. Now she's in a house that's not hers. Are the kid's going to kick her out of it? What happens?
Chill.
Okay.
I also asked, do you want your assets to be available to her if she does need them for health care purposes, etc.
Or maintenance, or is it simply just health care?
Maintenance, we knew about the income, but this is like, what if she needs long-term care? They can't get, they don't have insurance.
Extraordinary expenses. Okay.
Exactly, and he said, yes, not unusual.
Okay.
Then the big questions were,
how do the assets pass on?
Right.
How do you want the assets to pass on?
Yeah, do you want them to pass on only to your children? Or do you want them to pass on to her children as well? Or her to have the right to make the decision about
who gets them?
Who gets what part of the dough?
Well, because,
And the answer was no.
And I think just to clarify, which is the last man standing kind of situation, if Joe makes Sally the full beneficiary of everything, then she gets to make the decision on whom her beneficiaries are and in what proportions if Joe is the first to pass away.
And we didn't necessarily have to go through the disinheriting your children discussion. Okay, that wasn't necessary. That wasn't necessary because he basically said, "Mine is mine, hers is hers," but I do want her to have an income flow.
Okay.
So, quandary, right? We can't give her control of the assets, but we want her to have an income flow from it. We want them eventually to pass on to our kids. But let's talk about his asset base a little bit, Rob.
Joe has $1.6 million in financial assets. 1.5 of it is in retirement accounts, and $100,000 is in savings. He also has a $500,000 life insurance policy not pledged to his ex-wife.
So with that sentence, does that mean that Joe doesn't have any ongoing or additional obligations to his ex-wife with his assets anymore, like no quadros or anything like that?
That's correct, but it also creates a planning issue here. We know that because of the changes in the tax law under Secure Act 2.0, whomever inherits his IRA has to basically empty it within 10 years. We can't necessarily make Sally the beneficiary because if we do, then she'll have control of the asset.
And she would be
then she could assume it, and then she could basically continue to take it out during her lifetime, and then eventually either her children or
she would get to
whoever.
choose who the beneficiaries
There
are.
you go. So we got a little problem here,
right? Because Sally's really the only one when she becomes the spouse that would be able to avoid the 10-year payout, but we have already preempted that by saying she can't be the beneficiary.
Well, maybe.
Okay, maybe. Ooh.
Now we're into fun. We get to put on our planner's hat. We got to look at the tax side of this, etc. There are options that are there. You just have to know how things work on a starship. That's really what it comes down to. So let's talk about some potential planning options that could be there. First thing is we could split the beneficiary of his IRA between his children and a trust created for her as a beneficiary IRA. Not a spousal, but as a beneficiary IRA. So she would be basically treated just like the other kids. She has to pull money out over a 10-year period, which is fine. But the problem is after 10 years, there ain't no dough.
She has to liquidate that
right,
portion.
we know, because if she doesn't, it's a 25% penalty. If she dies, well, that IRA will then, that beneficiary would then go to...
revert back to what the trust says it's supposed to happen.
Which is going to the kids.
Well, that would solve the income problem or providing...
If she dies?
No.
Yeah, if we give her if we put a 10-year only sign...
Death is not the solution, Erin.
Right.
Well, that solves a lot of problems. They're not here anymore.
See ya.
I'm surprised you just jumped onto that one.
It's like Sally has a stale date. No, she doesn't. Okay.
Oh my God.
We're having some fun with this, but I mean, it's kind of fun. This is an algebra problem. So, also, option 2, a trust could be created at Joe's death with a life insurance in it.
Does he has a life insurance policy?
Of $500,000.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
and it's not pledged to his ex-wife.
Exactly. Sally could receive an income stream from the principal there. We could invest it. She could create an income stream, and it would go, as long as she's alive, and then
those funds would revert back to what the trust says, which is Joe's kids. Money goes to Joe's kids.
Well, and so what's interesting here is that if we were to do this, and let's just not assume any growth or any of that kind of stuff, but $500,000 happens today using a prudent rate of withdrawal 4%. We're talking about $20,000 a year. Well, what if her needs were greater than $20,000?
Right, because she's going to lose a Social Security benefit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that could be an issue. So let's get to Erin's favorite part.
The house.
The house.
And the proceeds of Sally's house?
Exactly.
Okay.
So we know that Joe wants Sally to live in their home as long as she's there, and that's not unusual. So the kids don't, even if he left the home to the kids, so the kids don't kick her out until she's ready to leave. That's normal.
He wants to give Sally the right to say, I want to stay here, or I'm ready to go in her own time.
He's going to do better than that.
Oh, okay.
He's going to permit her the opportunity to purchase half of the home. Take $250,000 from the sale of her own home and give it to him. Now, the tricky part here is she has to wait
until they're married.
Exactly, because if they're not married,
gift tax.
There you go. There's a gift tax. There's no gift tax, but you have to file a gift tax return. If they're married, there's unlimited
transfer of assets between spouses.
Exactly. So that's kind of cool. Obviously, that money could then be invested by Joe in his trust, which could then grow income tax deferred whatever, until the time of his death. Get a step up in basis if they were invested in financial assets like stock bonds with mutual funds, and then pass on to those children at the time of his death, tax free.
So everyone gets what they want. She gets to stay in the house. The kids get the proceeds. They don't have to wait.
Well, you're right. I mean, I think when you get to that, and that's a really important thing. You know, we've talked about this a few times, and so, in the article that's in the newsletter about talking to aging parents, don't look at me. I'm not aging.
Right, you're like Benjamin Button.
You're getting younger.
You're getting no. I'm just hanging.
Oh, you're sticking.
You guys
at a
are
certain
catching
age?
up to me. That's
You're in the cryo chamber.
But yes, so what's really happening here is that most parents want their children to receive part of their inheritance at the time of their passing. They don't necessarily want them to have to wait, and especially on a second spouse, right? So
this gives them a little taste.
By buying the house and then putting the proceeds in the trust, it solves a lot of those issues.
Absolutely. But there's also one other option that, Rob, I thought was extremely creative that you came up with as a way for us to segment this income need for Sally, but at the same time really give more of the money more quickly to his children if he predeceases her.
Well, I thought using the life insurance money with the purchase of an immediate annuity would solve a lot of problems. It would certainly alleviate the ongoing income need, and it would paper over the loss of the Social Security that she would lose upon.
So give us a numeric example. Let's assume that Joe and Sally live together, happily married, and let's just say that Joe passes away and at his age 75, at her age 75.
At her age 75, the immediate annuity, would pay out $3,800 a month, or almost $46,000 for the year.
And so the idea here is that instead of taking the life insurance, the $500,000 we were talking about, just creating income from that, investing it prudently, pulling 4%, which is what we would say is prudent, which is only $20,000 a year, we can really increase that payout relatively significantly.
Double it almost.
By taking it and giving it to the insurance company in exchange for an income stream.
And I thought also what was really smart is by setting it up as a 10-year certain in life, meant that if for some reason Sally was to pass away between 75 and 85, whatever the balance of the payments that had not been received during that 10-year period would go to his children.
Because we're still going to do this inside of that trust that we discussed.
Exactly.
Using that as the vehicle to pay her out, and like your dad just said, God forbid something happens to her, we still have the guaranteed 10 years of payments.
And then life. Right. So what would happen is that we're also not tying up other assets. So if you think about it, if we've done a couple things. Number one is that if they were to follow this game plan, at his death, the life insurance proceeds come in. Mm-hmm. Okay. We then purchase an immediate annuity contract with those proceeds for her.
Inside of the trust. We
can match the income stream that he wants her to have exactly to the amount of capital of that $500,000. So as an example, let's just say that we know that in theory all 500 would buy over $4,000 a month. Well, let's say she only needed 3. We could say, okay, fine. How much do we need to put in terms of capital? Maybe let's say like $365,000 to purchase $3,000 a month, and then the balance of that could then go to the kids. The kids then also have the IRA assets. Mm-hmm. They'll be able to pull those. They're going to be, again, forced to pull those over a 10-year period because of
the new rules,
the Secure Act. They'll also have the money from the original transfer from Sally's house, as well as Dad's savings. But they'll get money immediately. Sally will get the income security that she needs.
And the house Security as well.
Exactly, and then eventually the house would then, at her passing,
or if she decides
the kids
to
will sell
leave,
it, and both families are going to split the money.
Well, then if she decides to leave, then half would go into Joe's trust and onto his kids, and the other half would stay with Sally, eventually passing on to her kids.
So she could buy, a condo with her boyfriend, right? Exactly.
Before we go to our next break, a texter just jumped in and said, "Why would Joe even get married? Couldn't they just live together?"
Well, yes.
That one's not up to us,
right?
There's certainly a decision. I would tell you that in most cases, what I have seen is that generally when the marriage discussion comes up, should I get married? It's mostly because is there some way that I can financially benefit the person that I'm marrying? In a lot of these cases, what's happening is one spouse has a disproportionately greater Social Security benefit than the other one. So we know that at death of one of the spouses, the higher amount is retained by the surviving spouse. So not being married can put a big fly in that ornament.
We're going to take our second break of this hour, but I think we have a few more questions about Joe and Sally when we get back, so don't touch that dial. We'll be back after these messages.
Everyone at the Big 550 and the Salvation Army want to say thank you to all who donated to the Christmas in July toy drive. From the movie night to everyone stopping by our sponsors and KTRS studios to donate, we could not have done it without the support of our KTRS listeners. A huge thank you to our partners, Westport Plaza, Metal Exchange, Rawlings, Altair Travel, Ryan Raphael, John Beal Roofing. Because of everyone that participated, we have helped the Salvation Army and its Angel Tree Toy Town program for this upcoming holiday season. And we will help them again this December to make sure they can supply toys to the children this holiday season. Thank you from the Big 550, KTRS.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
My perfect day has sand, salt water, and friends. But my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can take me out of the moment. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, most people saw 90% clearer skin, and many were even 100% plaque-free at 4 months. Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
The Missouri Laborers Union and their contractors invest in people, making them extraordinary. How? Through training, creating careers, providing good wages, having superior health insurance, and a strong retirement. These are just a few of the many ways they invest in their members. The Missouri Laborers Union and their contractors understand the importance of having a strong workforce, and it starts with investing in people. Go to buildunion.com for more information.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Welcome back. It's 9:54. We've got the last 6 minutes or so of the show of Hour 1. We're here for your phone calls as well as your text, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. We were talking about Joe and Sally, the day they were going to become the Brady Bunch.
I kind of wanted to go back to, we had a texter that asked, why would Joe even get married? It's a great question.
We love our texters.
It's a good question. I mean, I thought your note about Social Security benefits was important. You also mentioned, when we were talking about the potential for Sally to purchase half of Joe's home, how she could do it all at once if they were married because there's a tax-free transfer of assets between spouses.
Yeah.
But if we were looking at that same scenario, if Joe and Sally decided they weren't going to get married, but they were just going to live together, but Sally still wanted to purchase half of the home, couldn't she do that over a multi-year period based on the gift?
Well, she could
tax limit.
Well, yes, but we're really getting kind of messy here because we're talking about if he's selling it to her, then he's got he may have an income tax issue, especially if there's been any gains, right?
Well, what's the difference between that and if they were married?
Well, if they were married, what happens is that she just handed him money,
right?
And he's then he's just putting her on the title.
Well, what if
it's not a gift because they're married?
Well, couldn't they sign an agreement that says Sally's going to gift the gift amount limit every year to Joe, and if she passes away before she gets to 250, then the balance of what she has goes to him, and that purchases half the house?
But the answer is no.
No.
Because what happens is it's not
the
a
answer
gift.
Is
because
no.
It's not a gift.
Well, the money is a gift.
No, it isn't because it's an exchange for exchange for value.
Okay.
So that's a transaction. That isn't a gift. Gifts are here, take the money, run. We don't care.
Okay.
But here you're talking about actually a purchase. So I think the key here is they do it afterwards.
Well, certainly. I was just wondering
it makes it simpler to happen that way. And,
okay.
It's all fun, but getting into the technical part of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. I mean, to me, it's fun. How do we do this most tax effectively? How do we get them to get the most to the children as much as they want to? How do we create the flexibility for Sally to get it money if she needs it, especially if she becomes ill at older ages, which is most likely going to happen?
We never talked about Sally's assets. Do they have a significant differential between what they've accumulated?
Oh yeah.
So Joe has the larger amount of assets.
Right. So because the discussion obviously goes back to he wants to provide her some income flow.
Right.
We do have other clients in second marriages that it's just like they don't need it.
Right.
I mean, they both are financially independent and they have enough assets that they can take care of their own income needs with the other spouse's Social Security or their own Social Security. So when you need, in this particular case, trust planning is going to be involved. They need to visit with an attorney, one way or the other.
Right, because they have to have documents in place.
They're going to have a trust.
Beneficiary designations will not cover the needs of Joe and Sally.
Well, it's because of the control issue.
Right.
Sally can't be the beneficiary because then Joe will lose control of the asset at his death. So that's important. You kind of move forward, right?
Right. So this is an example. We are often asked, when do I need a trust? This is a perfect example of when trust documents are important.
You can't trust when you can't trust.
When you don't want to trust.
Well, it's true.
Certainly.
Don't want to trust, you want it verified.
And, it's not uncommon this happens, but at the same time, we have clients that second marriages, and they go, you know what, I trust my wife. She'll take care of my children. She'll take care of her children, but she'll take care of my children. We've agreed to a formula, and that's great.
Right.
If you trust them, and it's wonderful that you do, but you won't know the difference because you won't be here.
That's also true. I mean, I think that's the overarching point, which is if you want your wishes followed, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, you have to have them written down.
Yes, you do.
I think it's another great example of, I'm sure, whatever Joe's original purpose for the $500,000 in life insurance changed over the years, and now here he is,
Sure.
And he's got this entirely new purpose for it. And, we can just take that asset, repurpose it for the needs of today. And he's had this now for quite a while.
So he already had the funding mechanisms in place to achieve what he wanted to.
Yeah, and what I didn't mention was really fun is that he had been accumulating his dividends to paid-up additions.
So it was worth more than $500,000.
Exactly. And so what we're able to actually then do is to take those additions, surrender them to pay the premium. So now he's got something that's self-supporting. He saved the premium money at the same time. He got really what he wanted out of it. So do yourselves a favor. Stick around for hour number 2 of Straight Talk on Retirement. We'll be right back. These messages.
Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement plan. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Welcome back, everyone, to hour number 2 of Straight Talk on Retirement. As promised, we have Frank Ellis in the studio this morning for our Smart Choices About Your Healthcare segment.
Good morning, Frank. Hello. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
And also, as promised, he'll be here to answer any of your questions. So give us a call, 314-931-5877, or send us a text, 84126 on the text line. But I know you have a really excellent topic for us this morning that we've already received a tangential question on.
Oh,
so
very good.
I think that once, texter, if you text this morning, if you listen into our segment, I think you might have some options. But, Frank, I will circle back at the end once we've chatted a little bit and kind of give you a synopsis there and see if you've got some other suggestions. But I do definitely want to talk about Douglas this morning.
All right. Excellent. Love hearing that we got some engagement already and some interest. And hopefully with today's story, this can absolutely help somebody else out there that was in Douglas's situation. So let's start at the very beginning. So Doug has been with us since about 2022, whenever he first came on to Medicare. He normally comes during open enrollment and just kind of makes sure that he's still on the best plan every single year from October through December 7th. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's just, in a Medicare Advantage plan. Everything normally works pretty well for him. So this past year, whenever he came to see me for open enrollment, we had some things that had actually kind of changed a little bit. Mm-hmm. So one of those things that changed was Doug was actually going to be, and I don't think you know this part, Erin, but I'll catch you up with it right now. Doug was actually getting put on Medicaid. Oh. And so during open enrollment, we were looking at one of those dual enrollment plans for him, if he had qualified. And that was the big thing. We did not know. Just because you get Medicaid does not mean that you're going to automatically qualify for one of those dual plans.
Okay, so there are other qualifications.
That is correct. That is correct. It just depends on what level of Medicaid you have, if you're going to even qualify for any of those dual plans. And so during open enrollment, we were waiting for his Medicaid to get processed to see if we needed to switch him to one of those dual plans. The reason that the benefit of going with a dual plan for Doug would have been that he would have gotten a massive amount of dental compared to his normal Medicare Advantage plan that he already had. He had $3,250 last year of dental. That had dropped to $2,000 in 2025. If he would have been on the dual plan, he would have had like $5,000 or $6,000 worth of dental. So we're talking some massive dental.
Also, don't those dual plans give some other benefits on the medical side and things like that of reduced costs and things?
That is right. That is right. A lot of reduced costs, a lot of added extra benefits. I mean, for goodness sake, I mean, they help pay for your utility bill. They help pay for healthy foods at the grocery store. So they are very stacked plans. So this would have been excellent for Doug. Doug did not qualify for any of the dual plans. Okay. So while he did have Medicaid, he did not qualify for any of the dual plans.
Okay. They rug pulled him. That's terrible.
That's right. Got him all excited and then pulled the rug right beneath from his feet. So that did not mean that Doug still could not be under his original Medicare Advantage plan. Nothing got taken from Doug.
Sure.
So he got to just keep his plan for another year.
Okay.
And so everything was going well for Doug this year until, like I said, his dental had dropped down to about $2,000. The first time he went to the dentist, he got a bill for 50%. Now, normally, Doug's dentist would just, he would just pay for everything on the back end and get reimbursed with Aetna. But for this year, since it's actually working as a network style plan, they have to actually bill the dentist. And since his dentist was out of network, Doug was shocked whenever he got a bill for 50%.
Okay, but he still gets the full $2,000. It's just it doesn't go necessarily as far because he's out of network.
That's right. That's
okay.
right. So Doug is going to this guy out of network several times this year, cleanings, filings, periodontics work, partials, you name it.
Oh, goodness.
And so basically he spent all of his allowance, and we're in July, and Doug found out that he still has to have 2 crowns done this year.
Oh my God.
Wow.
This poor man.
Yeah. So
on the one hand, we love that he's wringing every last drop out of that benefit, but now the benefit is run out.
That's right.
Right. And what
That's
a
right.
painful way to collect your benefits with all that dental work.
I
Right?
I know. So Doug is in a situation now to where he has to have these 2 crowns done as soon as possible. He doesn't have any more dental. If he uses his own plan, if he even still had dental, he would still be paying 50% of everything. But now he's going to be paying 100% of everything.
Yikes.
And so when Doug called me and explained this situation to me, he actually ended up talking to his dentist about this. And his dentist said, hey, you should talk to your broker. There's got to be an option out there for you to switch plans up until August 1st. The dentist thought that this had to be done up until August 1st. And so Doug called me immediately. This all happened on Tuesday, I believe.
What a random, day to pick. August 1st, you have to switch your plans.
Right.
Where did that even come from?
Yeah. And so that's why Doug called me, and I did some investigation for him. And turns out that we do have an opportunity to still change your plan here in the state of Missouri.
So, unfortunately, if you're in Illinois, no. But if you're in Missouri, perk your ears up a little bit.
That's right. That's right. This is for Missouri residents. And what we call this is a FEMA declared disaster special enrollment opportunity for you to switch plans right now until the end of October. So instead of using open enrollment from October through December and your new plan become effective January 1st, you can use this opportunity now, and I'll explain the rules and the benefits of it, but you can use this opportunity now with the FEMA declared disaster rule to change your plan now, and then the plan would take effect the following on the 1st of the next month.
Okay, so if he signed the application today or on Monday, then September 1st would be his new effective date with his new policy.
That is correct.
And this would carry him through all the way till January of the new year.
That is correct. That is correct. And he could still use the open enrollment opportunity to also switch then, of course. But the benefit for Doug with this entire story is that he would move from a plan that had $2,000 dental that was covering, and then he maximized that dental. Now he gets to start over in a brand new plan with $4,000 dental. So that's going to be well over enough for him to cover those 2 crowns that he'll need before the end of the year.
So let's go back to this special enrollment period that it's like a super special enrollment period. FEMA declared a disaster in the state of Missouri. I'm assuming it's from the severe weather we've been having.
That is correct. The tornadoes, thunderstorms, floodings, fires, high winds, all of this is considered under the FEMA declared disaster rule. All of these are eligible reasons. So basically,
do you have to have had damage to your own house?
You do not.
You do
not.
Just going. I was like, do you have to be personally affected by this? Or they just come in and say this whole area has been affected, and we're not going to cherry pick, who had their chimney blown away, who didn't. We're just going to open the enrollment give a special enrollment period for all the residents in the affected areas, whether or not you personally were affected.
That's right. You do not need to be personally affected by this. So the thought process with this, because FEMA's done this before.
Sure.
This isn't the first time that they've, the insurance companies have done this before, should I say, because not every insurance company offers these sort of special enrollments, or if they do offer them, maybe some of them different sort of standards than others. Now, this specific rule here, the thought process is that you cannot have changed your plan during the open enrollment period.
And so that's January to March, correct?
That is correct.
So if you did an annual enrollment change October 15th through December 7th last year, you're on a new plan from last year, but you didn't change again in 2025, you live in the state of Missouri, you're eligible for this.
That is right. That is right. So as long as you did not utilize that open enrollment opportunity, the thought process is that, we had such severe weather, especially around, what was that, March or April, when we were getting tornadoes back to back. Well, the idea is that, maybe because of the weather, you weren't able to actually go talk to me, your insurance broker, and change plans. And so they're allowing this opportunity for those individuals that did not get to do that to continue to change their plan now, up to date, up until, like I said, October 31st.
And so there are some things that everyone needs to be careful about. Just because there is a tornado does not mean that FEMA has declared a disaster and that the insurance companies are going to offer this. So it's not every single weather event. Also, you mentioned, Frank, that FEMA declared the disaster, but the insurance companies get to decide if they're going to allow for the special election period. So maybe not every insurance carrier is going to offer this.
Correct.
So it sounds like a twofold situation where first FEMA has to declare a disaster, then the insurance companies that are servicing the affected area, they have to decide whether they're going to open up the enrollment. So it's a two-trigger. Like first you need FEMA, then you need the insurance company to say, you know what, we are going to open up the enrollment for the affected areas.
That's right. That's right. We need both parties to come together and really put this option out on the table. So what I found for Doug was the United plan that covered Missouri statewide from the FEMA declared disaster rule. Other insurance companies, you may just have like certain counties that are covered. So like St. Louis County, maybe not all the way down in southeast Missouri or southwest Missouri. I don't know how their weather really was this year, but
okay. So FEMA declares disasters usually on a state level because it's federal funding, but insurance companies can pick and choose counties.
That's what I found.
Okay.
Now with the United Healthcare, the option that we went for with Doug, his was a statewide opportunity.
Okay.
So he could have been anywhere in the state. Of course, he's around, I think he's in St. Charles County, but he could have been anywhere in the state, and he could have
taken
used
advantage of this. Okay.
He sure could have. So, again, I always like to think, okay, well, looking back at it, was there anything that we could have done for Doug during the open enrollment period time?
Like, did we miss something?
Correct.
Okay.
Since he did not qualify for Medicaid, should we have put Doug in another plan that maybe gave him some more dental for the year? Now, Doug had some health issues, and over the last like 2 or 3 years, he's hitting his max out of pocket medically. And so the idea was, hey, this is a medical plan. So let's get you the best medical coverage first.
Sure.
Okay. In the future, if things get better and you're not necessarily hitting that max out of pocket every year for your medical needs, then we can go back and look at, okay, maybe we can pick this plan now because it has some extra dental for you because you're not affected by the medical side of the plan as much.
So I'm assuming Doug's probably going to make this switch because he got to use $2,000 of Aetna Dental. Now he's going to flip over and use $4,000 of United Dental. Cool. Now, has Doug spent any money on the Aetna plan yet this year? Like, do those max out of pockets carry over, like money he spent at Aetna? Does that transfer to United, or does he start over again to get towards his max out of pocket?
He will not need to start over.
Okay.
That will be carried over into what he's paid already for the health part of his plan. He has not hit the max out of pocket with Aetna. I believe that was $2,500 this year.
Okay.
The new plan is going to be at $3,300.
So not a huge. He's going to get more benefit from the dental than even if he hits the max out of pocket and has to spend the extra $800, right?
That is correct. Yeah, because we're looking at an $800 difference between the medical max out of pocket, $3,300 with United, $2,500 with Aetna. But then, like you said, you're getting that extra $2,000 dental bump on the United plan.
And I'm assuming that when you guys sat down, last year. you were focused on the Medicaid side of things, but also he probably didn't know that he had thousands of dollars worth of dental to deal with. That was not on the front burner of your conversation.
That's right.
Got you. So this was something that came up. Well, that's really cool that we're going to be able to not just on an annual basis have your plan meet your needs, but there are some instances where you could do it mid-year and have the plan help you meet your needs. You just got to keep in contact with, if you're working with Frank, you got to keep in contact with him, let him know what's going on so he can try and help if there's something that he can help with, or let your broker know and see if they can help.
We always talk about, special enrollment opportunities to come on to Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
The most popular special enrollment, of course, is someone has been on their work coverage, so their employer's coverage, and they're past 65, and then they come on to Medicare. Or someone moved counties or they moved states. We hardly ever hear about things like a special opportunity to move because of being affected by the weather or something like that. So this is one of those opportunities where you can switch your plan and utilize the plan's full benefits up until your new plan. Utilize those full benefits up until the end of the year. So
and like
definitely
you mentioned,
take advantage of that.
Okay, and then like you mentioned, this doesn't preclude you from this October through December making a change for January 1st.
That is correct.
And just to review the two caveats, one is you need to be in the state of Missouri. So unfortunately, Illinois did not receive this FEMA special election. And then secondly, you couldn't have made a switch from January to March. And then finally, I guess there's 3, not 2. The insurance company that you want to move to has to have already approved that this is a special election that they are going to honor.
That is correct. Mm-hmm.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there's a few moving parts here, but it sounds like something that... I want to circle back to our texture at the beginning of the show, and I think, Frank, you probably saw the emails and things come through about how we're already in the midst of some contract negotiations between insurance providers and healthcare providers that are not going to impact your current year's benefits, but will impact next year's benefits, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So would you suggest that if the people are living in Missouri and they see that their providers are going to be dropped from their plans next year, that they consider making the change now, or would you have them wait until October to take a look at what it's really going to look like next year?
Yeah, I would suggest that you do wait until October.
Mm-hmm.
That way we just have a full view of the entire landscape of next year.
Got ya.
If you come in now, we're not able to see any information from January moving forward. So I think the best decision in that case would be, to wait until the open enrollment time. Let us have a full view of what it's going to look like. And then if we need to make the switch, then we make the switch. But in most cases, those deals are going to get done on the back end. But it kind of reminds me, of like last year when Anthem didn't have the deal with Mercy until like the very last
11th hour.
Yeah, until the 11th hour, right. And, a lot of people did come in and we did move a lot of people from that plan. But at the very end of the day, they did make it a
right. We actually
together.
Went through our whole book of Anthem clients and said if we see that you have a Mercy doctor, we're reaching out to have you make this change. You got to come in and see us. And then turns out it was some movement, and not necessarily for bad. It wasn't a bad reason to make a change, but it was unnecessary at the end of the day.
That's right.
A lot of people don't want to wait that long. However, just to reiterate, even though you might be seeing that your provider is leaving a network, it's not going to be until December 31st. So if you utilize the special election, made a change today to a new policy, your new policy might not look like, in fact, usually it doesn't look exactly like what it looks like for next year. So now you're going to switch like 3 times over the course of a less than 2-year period. Probably not ideal.
Yeah. No, not ideal. No one wants to switch really 3 times. But I do got to say, I got to go back and say I looked for like 15 minutes on this just huge spreadsheet for anything in Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Anything.
Any options or opportunities or anything?
Not a single option on the table. So sorry to the Illinois clients. You do not get that FEMA rule, but you do still qualify for, all of the normal other special enrollment opportunities.
And that's just for right now, because weather happens every day and other things happen every day. So if you're in a situation where your coverage, you're now kind of butting up against your coverage, it's not working the way that you want it to, or it's served its purpose, kind of like Doug, where he utilized it all and now he's at the end, you should definitely reach out just to see if there's any alternatives, any ways to finagle additional benefits or make changes. And these FEMA rules are not widely publicized. You're not going to see a litany of commercials on TV saying, go call your broker or call us at United. It's time to make a change because you can. So these things are not very widely discussed, which means unfortunately, you got to reach out to us to let us know something's going on. There's a reason for a change, because for most people, unless, we do our annual enrollment, or we do our annual enrollment reviews, and we assume everybody's in a good spot unless they give us a call to let us know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right.
We're here to help if you let us know you need it.
This is just another textbook example of how, it doesn't cost anything to sit down with Frank and go over these things. But if you don't sit down with Frank, it could end up costing you a lot. I mean, FEMA declared a disaster, but it wasn't a disaster for Doug. It was an opportunity. He got to, wring all that dental benefit out of his former plan. Sat down with Frank. Frank, obviously being the expert on the special enrollment periods that were available to Missouri residents, was able to silo him to a new plan where he was able to suck up all their dental benefits. And guess what? He'll be able to have another enrollment period come October, and he'll be able to restart the engine again come the first of the year. So, again, it's just another example of doesn't cost anything to sit down with Frank. It could potentially cost you a lot by not sitting down with Frank.
Well, Frank, we really appreciate you coming in this morning. You have anything else you want to add for us?
You.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So we are going to take our first break of the hour. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with some more Straight Talk on retirement after these messages.
I'm Teresa Metz, Executive Director of Fairmont on Clayton. We are a Montessori assisted living and memory care community designed specifically for seniors and residents with Alzheimer's disease. At Fairmont on Clayton, we identify activities that foster a sense of purpose and identity for each of our residents. The Montessori approach is a focus on life skills the residents can do instead of what they can't. We're located in the heart of Clayton. It's an amazing community, one I'm sure you and your loved one will embrace. They're Fairmont on Clayton, 314-646-7600, or online at FairmontClayton.com.
I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties. I want to buy your home. Any property, any condition, and always as is. I will pay top dollar with no contingencies and no inspections. You walk away with cash. So don't waste time and money making repairs and paying real estate commissions. Call me, Mike Robinson, at 314-283-0867. That's 314-283-0867. Or go to robankproperties.com. That's ROBANG properties.com.
Make a splash this summer with Dogtown Pizza. The weather and the pizza ovens are heating up, so stock up on 12 different flavors of your favorite Dogtown. Why cook hamburgers on the grill when you can get a hamburger pizza? Hot chicken, the SOB and for me, and from the garden, tomato, basil, garlic, and the veggie. Make your next pool party a pizza party with 12 different flavors of Dogtown. One for every swimmer in your house. Make it a Dogtown summer at every local grocery store and dogtownpizza.com.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to hour number 2 of Straight Talk on Retirement. Fabulous Medicare segment as always, guys. We know people really do appreciate that, and especially those that we're helping enroll every single year. And doing that, we are the One of the biggest organizations do that in the state of Missouri.
Absolutely, and we're rapidly coming up on open enrollment. I mean, we're already in the first week of August. Hard to believe, but it's here. And these new plans will be rolling out probably within 8 weeks. So just a gentle reminder, you want to get on that schedule early, especially for, an appointment with Frank or myself. And you're free to do so just by giving our office a call. And
give us a number.
It would be 314-863-0008.
Very
That's
good.
right.
And our next texter writes, can you speak about the 93-month extended period of eligibility for how the extended period for eligibility for Medicare works after the 36 months of eligibility after a transplant works?
So the extended period, this is a very niche, I'll say, enrollment period or eligibility period that's available. So the extended period of eligibility is specific to Social Security disability income. It's actually not related to Medicare. So the way that it works is that essentially after the EPE is the extended period of eligibility is relevant for Social Security disability insurance beneficiaries, not specifically for Medicare eligibility due to end-stage renal disease. So there are a few ways that you can jump onto Medicare that are not based on turning 65 years old, one of which is end-stage renal disease. Other disabilities, you have a 2-year wait. Some have an automatic enrollment that gets you onto Medicare. But the 36 months after your transplant, that's when Medicare would end. The 93 months is in reference to your Social Security disability income that would extend out in addition to that.
Good to know. Good question.
And that is good even if you are working. So there's no Social Security disability usually has a limitation on if you're working or not, because the overarching idea is that you are unable to work due to disability. However, there are some specific situations like a transplant, end-stage renal disease, other triggers that would allow you to go back to work after your completion of treatment for the transplant. This will extend your income additional months even if you return to work.
Gotcha.
Very good. Appreciate the text. Again, our text line is open. We'd love to hear from you. 84126 or 314-931-5877. If you love to hear your voice on the radio, we're here to help. And while we're waiting for your calls and your text during our last 27 minutes of the hour, let's talk a little bit about Sammy. Sammy wrote me the other day. He somehow managed to get past the Erin firewall. And he wrote that he's 68 years old and would like to retire at the end of this year. So it's coming up pretty soon. He has a 401k balance of $2.4 million today. Nice job, Sammy. And I'm sure I will need some access to my money to supplement my Social Security benefits. Obviously, he hasn't claimed yet, which is kind of cool. Here is how it breaks down. He currently has $2.3 million in pre-tax 401k assets and $160,000 in Roth 401k. It's fun.
Right, and he's got a lot of questions, it looks like.
Absolutely.
When does he do the Roth conversion?
Oh, my God, you're trying to
trying to goad someone? No.
Right. Get the text line all amped up again.
Don't need to go there. So his first question was, what is the process of moving my 401k plan to a self-directed IRA without taxation? Very common question.
Yes, great question. In Sammy's case, he's going to need to open up 2 different accounts. One is going to be a traditional IRA account if he doesn't already have that in existence somewhere.
To accept those pre-tax assets.
Exactly. The second is going to be a Roth IRA account that will accept the $160,000 in Roth 401k assets.
Definitely do not want those two commingled.
Exactly. Most, if not all, 401k companies will cut 2 separate checks, One is for the pre-tax 401k. The other is for the Roth 401k. That way you can split those two out. Now, technically, Sammy has a couple of options with the Roth money. He could take the Roth money in cash, deposit it into his checking account or savings account if he'd like. He doesn't have to deposit it into a Roth account because that's after-tax money. Now, it's a sizable amount, and if he plans to allow it to continue to grow, I would off the bat suggest that we put it into the Roth because that way it can continue to grow tax-deferred. He does have the 5-year wait. However, we obviously have some other assets available to utilize if we need to. But going back to the actual transition, you're going to get on the phone or fill out your paperwork with your current 401k company, and you're going to request that they direct those funds into those subsequent accounts, pre-tax to pre-tax, Roth to Roth. That's what's called a trustee-to-trustee transfer or a direct transfer. Even if your 401k plan cuts a physical check, it is still considered a direct transfer as long as that check is made out to the financial institution that the IRAs are created with, and that money just goes direct, is then deposited there. So some will do an electronic transfer of funds, others still cut checks to the participant, and then you need to either forward them along or deposit them into your IRA accounts. But as long as that transition happens, then you are not subject to any taxation in that movement.
And those checks could be made out in a way it could say, XYZ Corporation for the benefit of,
Sammy's IRA.
Sammy's IRA.
That's exactly right.
And you may have missed that our office manager facilitates that phone call.
Our client service manager, Missy, handles all of that, obviously, because these are what are called participant-initiated transfers. Generally, a signature is not enough. You'll jump on the phone, but Missy helps out with that, which is you get on a 3-way phone call, and then Missy provides all of your relevant account information, so that way the 401k plan knows exactly where the checks go to, which is great.
Yeah, and the checks, again, are generally made out to, if it's with us, LPL and your name.
Right, so it's going to be made out to the custodian for the benefit.
So that nobody can run away with the money.
Also, and so it's still considered a direct transfer, so the custodian for the benefit of yourself. And sometimes they have the account numbers written on there, sometimes not. That still qualifies as a direct transfer as long as the check is cashed at the custodian.
Right, so his next question was a good one. If you and Erin are serving as my advisors, how do I get money from the account?
Just come with one of those bags with the dollar signs on it.
Since when do you give people money back?
Just load you up. Gold bars and such.
We walk down to the vault in the basement.
So what happens generally is at the time we're setting up these IRA accounts, we're also setting up the electronic funds transfer to your checking account of your choice. So we get a copy of a check. We have you sign the form. And depending upon if you want money on demand, as we call it, which is whenever you want to call for it, or B, you want it at monthly income, we can arrange those for you. Also, at the same time, we can also withhold taxes, federal and state. If you're in Illinois, don't have to worry about the state taxes, but you do have to deal with the federal, and we're more than happy to do that for you. It makes sense.
Right, and we could replicate your paycheck. I mean, if you get paid, say, twice a month on Fridays, we can certainly keep you on that schedule if you'd like, or however you'd like.
That's exactly right. So we can recreate your math. Our goal really is that you're not changing any of your habits in terms of when you pay bills or when money is coming out of your account. So we're going to try to match up what you're already doing. And with our firm, there are no extra fees or costs associated with distributions. So that means if you would like twice a month or just want to call when you're getting low in your savings account, however you would prefer to work the numbers in retirement, we can facilitate, and there's no differential there.
Exactly. So that's, again, that's pretty easy to do. And we do want to, again, obviously customize this to your needs. Interesting question also came up was, I only have $30,000 in my current savings. Is that enough? I would certainly suggest here that you might want to look at this in a little different perspective. You have about $2.5 million of assets, so it is unreasonable to assume that you probably should have a liquid cash balance somewhere between 5 and 10%, which would be $125 to $250.
So low in the actual savings account.
Yes, but if you have a Roth, you have cash. So I would look at your Roth, as far as I'm concerned, as a liquid savings, in which case I would suggest that you're okay. Now, if you're still not feeling okay.
Well, it's considered a liquid savings, but it is not free of market fluctuation if you're invested.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So a little different than what we would consider safe money. Like the money in your savings account, as long as you're under the FDIC limits, that money is your money. It's not going to fluctuate based on what the market does. So if you need ready access to it, you always know how much is there. In the Roth, I definitely agree, Dad, in that it's easily accessible. It's not taxable to you as long as you meet those requirements over 59.5. It's been in existence 5 years. But if you have it invested, then you are going to be subject to market volatility, which means when you need a certain amount, it may or may not be there.
Yeah, and in Sammy's case, if he felt that $30,000 was light, we certainly could do a Roth transfer to the Roth account. If he already had a Roth in existence, that would basically wipe out the 5-year rule, and we could certainly then make a distribution for him to his checking account,
or we could
which would be a tax-free transfer, and then he could have the basic amount that he wants.
Or we could be even more clever here, which is if Sammy feels like he wants some more safe money in the savings account, when he's on the phone with Missy and the 401k company, he can request a full transfer of his 401k into his traditional IRA account. So the $2.3 million goes right into the IRA. And then he could say, please cut me a check of my 160. I want to bring the number up to 50. I want to bring it up to 60,000. I want to double what's in my savings account. Send me a check for 30,000 and make the balance out to my Roth IRA of 130,000.
Cool.
So that way if Sammy didn't have a Roth in existence already, he gets to avoid the 5-year rule. He'll take his cash, put it in the savings account, and he gets the Roth too.
Very nice.
He split the difference.
Exactly. So you have the great thing is you have some options when you are executing these rollovers after retirement. Now, each plan can create some limitations for you. They also make the determination of how the money's coming to you. Is it a direct transfer electronically? Do you have to get checks? So you definitely want to check with your 401k plan before you put a plan in place, but it's definitely an option.
You know, these were some nice questions. And his last question was, does it make sense for me to delay taking my Social Security benefits until my normal retirement age? Well, he's already passed it, which would be 67. He's already 68. Or should he wait till age 70?
Is Sammy married?
We don't know that. But I would suggest at this point not having that information. The differential between receiving benefits at 68 versus 70 is minimal. The amount of money that you're going to forego in terms of total Social Security benefits will be significant. So as an example, let's just say that his Social Security benefit was running $3,200 a month.
And is that at 68?
Yeah. Let's say, et cetera. So that would be
39.
Yeah, about 38,000, et cetera. If you do that for 2 years, that's
$512,000 a month is the difference.
$512 per month. Okay, fine. So that would be $6,000 per year. We know that he'd be giving up
80.
Yeah, about 80. So in that case, it'd take a whole long time for him to break even.
The way we got the differential. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, give up $80,000 on the front side to get back $500 a month in incremental payments when you reach 70. I don't know about that.
Right, and the way we got to that differential was for the first. For each year that you delay up till 70, you receive an 8% increase. So a 16% off of his 68-year-old benefit is about $500 a month. But just like you said, Dad, you're going to get it back $500 a month, but you're giving up $80.
Yes, no question about that. Now, Rob, or Erin, whoever mentioned it, depending upon if he is married, depending upon his spouse's benefit, it could be important for him to wait. Because, as we know, when one spouse has passed away, the other spouse will basically take over that larger benefit and drop the smaller benefit. If he happens to be covered by a pension plan, as an example, maybe there's a drop in income from the pension. So there's a lot of moving parts that might change the situation. But if Sammy's a single guy, it's called you should take. Well, there's no. I mean, if you're single, you take.
Unless you are going to be doing. Well, he's over normal retirement age, so we don't have to worry about any takebacks. So even if he decided to work part time or something,
plus he has $2.3 million. Hello, he's going to be subject to required minimum distributions in 5 years.
So they're going to force some of that money out.
So why not start? Exactly.
And we know that also Social Security income, even in his particular case, as much as 85% of it would not be subject to income tax. Only 15% would be.
No, reverse.
Exactly. Is that only
85% is subject to income tax.
Thank you for the correction.
15% is that would have been exciting. However, for the next couple of years, as long as Sammy's income, well, we don't know if he's married or not, so we're doing a lot of hypotheticals here, but as long as he's under the income limitations and he's over 65, so he met that qualification, he'll get an extra $6,000 or $12,000 deduction available to him.
Yeah, and you're right. In his particular case, we might even consider doing Roth distributions, tax-free distributions, as a way to keep him under that income number, so he is eligible for this. Exactly, which is not usually happening, because with most of our clients, we see that they use those Roths for one of two things. Either A, to pass money on income tax-free to their loved ones, or B, big-ticket items, right?
Absolutely.
That new truck, that $70,000 new truck that they want to get, where they get the dough.
Right.
So tax-free.
Very true. And we have a texter on the line. Texter writes, is my thinking correct on the 5-year look back on my Roth is from the date the account was actually created? Thanks.
So it's from the date that the first dollar goes into the account. And it only has to be literally a single dollar. As long as the account is funded, then that's the inception date. And that's where the 5-year look back begins. So even if you've added additional contributions over time, the clock does not reset. Even if you have transferred your Roth account to different broker dealers over time, when you are doing that transfer from Roth to Roth, that's also considered a trustee-to-trustee transfer. The clock does not reset. So it's the first Roth that you open, the first dollar that you put in, that is the day that the clock begins.
Account's got to be open, account's got to be funded.
Right. So signing the paperwork, maybe receiving a letter that says welcome to whichever financial institution. Not enough. You have to actually have a dollar in there, but that's all that it takes. And you know what else? We got to take our second break of this hour.
So don't touch that dial. We'll be back with more Straight Talk on Retirement right after these brief messages.
The views and opinions expressed in the preceding paid program are those of the host, callers, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this station, its management, or owners. This is KTRS St. Louis, the Big 550, and KTRS.com.
I'm Jenny Smith of Kolache Factory in Brentwood. What's a kolache, you ask? It's a sweet or savory pastry filled with delectable ingredients from bacon, egg, and cheese to barbecue brisket. Each day, our bakers make our dough using the finest, freshest ingredients. We also feature artisan croissants and muffins. Our handmade kolaches at Kolache Factory satisfy breakfast, lunch, and snack attack cravings. We even do party trays for all your big catering events. Come into Kolache Factory in Brentwood and order ahead at KolacheFactoryToGo.com.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Thanks, Farmer Dave. We are insanely busy right now. It's my peak selling and buying season. I need to buy as many pristine Corvettes, Cadillacs, Vipers, Raptors, and other sports cars and luxury cars that I can find. Do you have a unique, rare, classic, or collectible vehicle you want to sell? Maybe even a daily driver with super low miles and in excellent condition. If so, we want to talk. We are cash buyers for collector-grade vehicles, including motorcycles. We've got great deals on hard-to-find, auto-check certified vehicles, too. Hop on our site today to buy, sell, or trade.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MastercardsInc.com to get more details. That's MastercardsInc.com.
August 4th through the 10th, shop and dine in Maplewood, and you'll be giving back to the community. A portion of your spending will go directly to area nonprofit organizations. Don't miss out. Mark your calendar and join the Maplewood community of makers in giving back. Let's make a difference together. For more information, visit maplewoodmo.gov/fun. That's maplewoodmo.gov/fun.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Alton, Valley Park, St. Charles, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
The views and opinions expressed in the following paid program are those of the host, callers, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this station, its management, or owners. Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Welcome back to the show. We have about 8 minutes left to answer your questions as well as your text at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
You think they put that disclaimer in because you're going to talk about Roth conversions or something? They're just preempting.
No, they don't agree with me because they're not smart enough. It's all. You know, one of the questions that we're often asked during coaching sessions, especially for those clients that currently have existing mortgages, is, should I pay it off? And if I do, what is the best way to do so? You know, we know that in retirement, debt obligations can have a significant impact on your cash flow. So really the question becomes, does my retirement game plan work without paying it off? And if not, what's the best way to take care of it? So let's talk a little bit about Joe and Sally.
Joe and Sally have a mortgage payment of $3,000 per month. They don't escrow taxes, and a remaining mortgage balance of about $240,000. If they continue on their current track, it will be paid for in 8 years. Most of each payment is allocated to principal repayment, so the interest portion is small enough to prevent them from itemizing their deductions.
And I would even say, I mean, that's an important piece of note, but in my mind, I never understood the argument of holding on to a mortgage in order to get a tax deduction because you still have to pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
Well,
right?
Yeah, look, honey, I mean, there is some significant tax advantages to the interest portion being deductible, and especially usually during the first 4 to 5 years of a mortgage. But when you get deeper into this, I love when people say, I only have a 3% rate. Well, guess what? Who cares?
You already paid it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're, if 95% of your payment is principal, the 3% doesn't mean a whole lot.
Right. No, I agree that obviously, and that's a very strong argument for why buying versus renting and all of that. But I'm just saying, holding on to something to get the deduction wouldn't necessarily be a huge factor in my math. But
I was going to say, I think what's important here is the algebra discussion that you guys are going to have about paying it off or not.
Right. So we know they're paying $3,000 a month for the mortgage. They're not escrowing their taxes and insurance. So that means that $3,000 really is pure. They're doing it on the side themselves, paying the taxes and the insurance. So $3,000 a month could potentially come out of their monthly expenses if we paid the mortgage off. $3,000 a month is $36,000 a year. If Joe and Sal, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if we use a prudent rate of withdrawal of 4%, we would need $900,000 in capital to satisfy that over a long period of time.
Right. So if Joe and Sally said, I need $3,000 a month, we'd say, well, no problem. We need $900,000 of capital in order to do that for you.
So why are we keeping almost $1 million of capital to fulfill a debt obligation that's only $240,000.
So we're really tying up, and we don't have Joe and Sally's full net worth, but we're holding almost $1 million of their assets hostage for their mortgage payment. Now, is there $240,000 is not a small amount. That's a few cars, right?
Absolutely. So what we're really looking at is there a prudent way for us to deal with this?
Exactly. So the first option, the easiest option, we just take $240,000 out of their IRA account, pay it off.
I don't know how easy that is.
Well, I guess it'd be easier for us to say because we're not the ones paying the taxes. I mean, $240,000 is really closer to $300,000 of a distribution from an IRA account, a traditional IRA account.
There's going to be some Part B premium increases involved with that kind of distribution, I would think.
And a lot of, maybe a tourniquet.
A tourniquet. Oh, my gosh. Yes. So we would see 2 years from now, Medicare Part B premiums go up for both Joe and Sally because that's going to be a joint income-based premium. And obviously $60,000 worth of taxes right off the bat, minimum.
Absolutely. So the question is there a way to minimize the period here without shooting off both feet in terms of taxes?
Right. And also, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there thinking, well, what do they have in their savings account? We don't necessarily want to drain all of Joe and Sally's liquid savings that's after tax because then we put them into a similar situation, which is what happens when an emergency comes up. Now we have to take a distribution from an IRA and whatever the taxes
or a home
are.
equity line of credit and borrow the money back out.
Right. Oh, right. So we're going to be paying someone, either the bank again, at a higher rate than whatever their mortgage was, because usually those home equity lines are higher and we see, interest rates have risen, or we got to pay taxes. So we still want to maintain liquidity, but we do want to shorten the duration of this mortgage payment. So we could increase the payments every month.
Yeah.
Just do an overpayment. We could do the calculation on, and I keep harping on this, and I've been talking with clients a lot, let's maximize the next several years where we get the extra deduction if you're over 65 and meeting that income requirement to get your extra deductions. Let's take advantage of that if possible, and if we have mortgages to pay, if we have debt to deal with, if there are gifts that you're planning on giving and they have to come from the IRA, maybe you don't want to do them in these next couple of years, but let's start amassing the cash now when we have the extra deductions and tax benefits available to us.
You know, it makes a lot of sense because you have to play the hand you're dealt. And taking advantage of the rules, whatever they may be in terms of these new deductions, maybe increasing your income a little bit could make some sense.
Right, and the great thing is now, with the legislation having been passed, the tax brackets are set for the foreseeable future, which means we have clarity on creating some plans for clients moving forward based on taxes. So that's going to give us a lot of opportunity to, like with Joe and Sally, we want to cut the duration in half from 8 to 4 years. Maybe we've got big chunk payments the next several years, and then maybe they taper off a little bit, or we're just paying out the balance in the fourth year, and it might be done in 3.5.
Well, you're right, babe. And the other side is once those payments are done, we got $3,000 a month of cash flow that we can now reallocate back to savings or to investing or to dealing with
other debt obligations.
The real estate tax is a part of it for that you may not be escrowing for, but great idea. Once you have adding the flexibility into your plan certainly can make sense, but for you the algebra is really what has to make sense, and you have to look at the tax law.
That's right. Got a few moving parts in play to keep balanced.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Well, that's great. And I was going to say, it looks like we're almost out of time today. Enjoy everybody tuning into the show. And don't forget, you can always give us a call, 314-863-0008, if you'd like a coaching session with Erin, Rob, or I. So we'll see you next week.